The Premier League. The richest, strongest and most watched league in world football. Home to the best players the game has to offer. This has really been made into a polished product. I'm sure nothing can possibly... For several years now, Millwall have been one of the most notorious football clubs in England. The rough and ready club with a hostile atmosphere and a fan base which embraces the idea of being disliked. Whether that's an accurate description or whether it's just because they're always the villain in films about football hooligans, it depends on who you ask. But despite Millwall being so notorious in this country, there's been one thing that has been lacking for pretty much their entire history. Success. You see, for anyone who isn't too familiar with the club, it may surprise you to know that in the entirety of Millwall's 140-year history, they've only had 2 seasons in the top flight of English football. And despite the occasional incredible cup run, there hasn't been a lot for Millwall fans to shout about over the years. Apart from people not liking them. But maybe that's about to change, because after several dalliances with the playoffs, Millwall find themselves 3rd in the Championship and appear to have their best chance of promotion to England's top flight in over 35 years. So could it really happen? Could we see this hostile atmosphere mixing it with the glitz and the glamour of the Premier League? Let's find out. I'm Ryan Dilks from the second tier, and this is Could We Really See Millwall in the Premier League? Before we get underway, please make sure you like this video. We're aiming for 500 likes on this one, ladies and gents, and make sure you subscribe as well for more content like this. Let's begin. This is Millwall's 9th successive season in the Championship, and they've done pretty well in that time. In the 8 seasons prior, they've only had 2 where they finished outside of the top half, which is really quite impressive when you keep in mind Millwall have a budget which is at the lower end of the Championship. They've been managing to fight above their level in a division dominated by clubs with parachute payments for several years now, and they've done that by being very shrewd with their transfer business and sticking to a direct style of play. I would go as far to say they're one of the best run clubs in the Championship, but despite that, in the previous 8 seasons, they've never had a playoff finish. So why could this one be different? Millwall's current success hasn't been something that's been built overnight. It started off with club legend Neil Harris leading them into the Championship. Then Gary Rowett came in and properly established them over 4 years. They did go through a bit of a wobble in the 2023-24 season where they had 3 managers, one of whom is now Frank Lampard's assistant at Coventry, Joe Edwards, who was a bit of a disaster. The brief return of Neil Harris guided them back into steady waters, and since December last year they've had Alex Neil in charge, who is great. That sounds sarcastic, I genuinely do mean it. You see, I think Alex Neil has been a very underappreciated manager in the Championship for some time now. He did fantastic jobs at Norwich, Preston and Sunderland. Maybe not so much at Stoke, but show me a manager who has done a good job at Stoke in the 10 years prior to this one. Maybe it's because he doesn't play sexy passing football, or maybe it's because his name isn't Alex Neil Aldo? Whatever the reason is, he just hasn't had the respect he's deserved for doing multiple great jobs at different clubs over the years, and now he's taken Millwall to a whole new level by getting them competing for automatic promotion at the time of recording. They've been helped by the fact that no one has been consistent other than Coventry, but just a little bit of consistency goes a long way this season, and Millwall have been just that. As I say, Millwall's success isn't an overnight thing. They've been very measured with how they do things for a while now. Up until the summer of 2021, they hadn't spent more than £1 million on a transfer fee, and it wasn't until the summer of 2024 where they spent more than £2.5 million. That's mainly down to them making some big sales for very little outlay in the past 12 months. Most notably, academy product Romain Essa, who went to Crystal Palace for £12 million back in January, but also the likes of Japhet Tanganga and Zian Fleming being sold for big fees has meant Millwall have had more wriggle room in terms of their finances. Now, traditionally, Millwall have targeted lower league British players who primarily work hard and are physical, and that worked well for a long time, but more recently, they've been going a little bit more adventurous. They've started looking at young talent from abroad, most notably Serbian international Mihajlo Ivanovic, who joined for around £3 million in the summer of last year. He was attracting interest from the Premier League after his performances in the second half of last season and is a fantastic talent at just 21 years old. But it's not just him. Dutch winger Kamil Negli joined last January for a club record fee from Sparta Rotterdam. Young midfielder Derek Mazu-Sakho cost just £500,000 in the summer from Rodez in the French second tier, and Tieno Bello has impressed on the wing since joining on loan from Wolfsberger in Austria. They're still keeping a close eye on the lower leagues though. Tristan Kramer was on loan at Exeter before Millwall snapped him up back in January. Femi Aziz was signed from Reading in the summer of last year, and those two have been probably their two best players this season. There's also their goalkeeper Max Crocombe, who had been at Burton Albion for 2 years prior to being signed this past summer, and Caleb Taylor was on loan at Wickham before being signed for £2.5 million this past summer as well. Targeting more young players has meant Millwall have had the 5th youngest squad in the Championship this season, and when you complement that with experienced heads like Jake Cooper, Millwall now have a really nice mix of youth and experience. But even if they don't go up this season, they've got a lot of young talent who will be able to benefit them in the long term or be sold on for a lot of money and help them reinvest back in the squad. Let's go through the team. For me, I look at Millwall's defence and man for man I rate it as one of the best in the division. Jake Cooper's been one of the best centre-halves at Championship level for many years now. Tristan Kramer has been top class since joining last January. Alfie Doherty we're yet to properly see due to injury, but can be one of the best fullbacks in the division going forwards. Otherwise, Zach Sturge is a solid deputy, and Caleb Taylor's only just coming to the side, but I've been very impressed with his recent showings. In midfield, you've got Casper De Norre, who's been one of the best ball-winning midfielders in the Championship since he joined Millwall 2.5 years ago. He's been partnered with various midfielders this season, but young Derek Mazu-Sakho looks very promising and could be a great player for them in the long term. However, I would say if there's anywhere Millwall do need to strengthen, it's here. In attack, Millwall have got loads of different wingers who look really dangerous, chiefly Femi Aziz, who's been in great form this season, and up front is Mihajlo Ivanovic, my pick to be top goal scorer at the beginning of the season. He had a bit of a slow start but has picked up in form recently and is starting to look very dangerous. So let's answer the big question: will Millwall get promoted this season? I'd say it's definitely their best chance in a long time. The fact so many other genuine contenders have struggled this season means the division is wide open, and it could leave the door open for a side like Millwall, who I would say have a much more credible chance of staying the course than most sides due to the strength of their squad and the manager. If I'm being totally honest, despite them being sat third right now, in the games I've seen of Millwall so far, I haven't been massively impressed. That's perhaps reflected by the fact they've got a minus goal difference, which, with them being sat third, is very strange. Now, you can look at that in two ways. Have they been fortunate, or is it a sign of a good side when they're getting results despite not playing amazingly so far? With Millwall, I'm leaning more towards the latter. I think Millwall have gears to go. The fact their striker, who ended last season with 10 goals in his final 17 starts, has barely got going yet, gives me hope that Millwall have barely reached a full sprint. Another big strength for them is the Den, which I know is a massive cliche whenever anyone talks about Millwall, but it genuinely is such a difficult place to go. In the 22 home games Alex Neil has been in charge of, he's won 14 of them. It genuinely is a fortress. Ultimately, I predicted Millwall to finish in the playoffs at the start of the season, and in time I think that will be the case. I don't think they'll get automatic promotion, mainly because I look at the likes of Birmingham and Southampton, and to a lesser extent Ipswich, who have started to show signs of life in recent weeks. But the playoffs would be a great outcome for this season. As I was saying earlier, they haven't done it in the 8 seasons they've been in the Championship now, and in fact haven't finished in the playoffs of the second tier since 2002. But even if that doesn't end in promotion, I would continue to expect Millwall to be banging on the door of the Premier League, because they're proving to be a very smartly run club. And look, it's difficult when promotion from the Championship in recent years has been dominated by clubs with parachute payments, so you have to be extra smart to break through that glass ceiling, and Millwall are proving to be just that. And it would be so good to see Millwall in the Prem. Imagine a packed out Den welcoming the likes of Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, West Ham. It would be great, and every single game would be no. And so there we have it. This has been, could we really see Millwall in the Premier League? What do you think? Could we see Millwall in the Premier League? Let me know in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you're a particularly big fan of what we do here at the Second Tier, then make sure you join our new YouTube membership community, where for just £4.99 a month, you get access to the Second Tier Discord and an exclusive bonus video every single week, as well as custom emojis. All you need to do is hit the join icon right next to the subscribe button. I've been Ryan Dilks from the Second Tier, and a big thank you for watching.